right, boys and girls, for today's lesson, we're going to continue to read the book Magic Treehouse Dinosaurs Before Dark. For previous lessons, you read chapters 1, and you also had to make a prediction of what was going to happen in the rest of the story. Our learning target for today is I can ask and answer questions in a text. Thoughtful readers ask questions. We have thin questions and we have thick questions. Thin questions are right there. They're easier to answer. You can find answers right in the text. They can be yes or no questions, and they typically have only one answer. You will begin them by saying who, what, how many, when, where, yes or no. Thick questions, they are think and scratch, meaning you have to really think about these questions. Sometimes you have to scratch your head to find the answer. They are harder to answer. You need to think and use schema. You need to use evidence from the text and many answers to the same questions. These questions, you'll begin them by saying why, how come, I wonder, what does the author mean, and what would happen. So let's get started. We're going to be reading chapters 2 for today. Chapter 2, The Monster. Jack crawled through a hole in the treehouse floor. Wow! The treehouse was filled with books. Books everywhere. Very old books with dusty covers. New books with shiny, bright covers. Look! You can see far, far away, said Annie. She was peering out the treehouse window. Jack looked out the window with her. Down below were the tops of the other trees. In the distance, he saw the Frog Creek Library, the elementary school, the park. Annie pointed in the other direction. There's our house, she said. Sure enough, there was their white wooden house with the green porch. Next door was their neighbor's black dog, Henry. He looked very tiny. Hi, Henry, shouted Annie. Shush, said Jack. We're not supposed to be up here. He glanced around the treehouse again. I wonder who owns all these books, he said. He noticed bookmarks were sticking out of many of them. I like this one, said Annie. She held up a book with a castle on the cover. Here's a book about Pennsylvania, said Jack. He turned to the page with the bookmark. Hey, there's a picture of Frog Creek in here, said Jack. It's a picture of these woods. Oh, here's a book for you, said Annie. She held up a book about dinosaurs. A blue silk bookmark was sticking out of it. Let me see it. Jack set down his backpack and grabbed the book from her. You look at that one, and I'll look at the one about castles, said Annie. No, we better not, said Jack. We don't know who these books belong to. But even as he said this, Jack opened the dinosaur book to where the bookmark was. He couldn't help himself. He turned to a picture of an ancient flying reptile, a Pteranodon. He touched the huge bat-like wings. Wow, whispered Jack. I wish I could see a pteranodon for real. Just study the picture of the odd-looking creature soaring through the sky. Ha! Screamed Annie. What? Said Jack. A monster! Annie cried. She pointed to the treehouse window. Stop pretending, Annie, said Jack. No, really, said Annie. Jack looked out the window. A giant creature was gliding above the treetops. He had a long, weird crest on the back of his head, a skinny beak, and a huge bat-like wings. It was a real, live Pteranodon. The creature curved through the sky. He was coming straight towards this treehouse. He looked like a glider plane. The wind began to blow. The wind began to blow. The leaves trembled. Suddenly, the creature soared up, high into the sky. Jack nearly fell out the window trying to see it. The wind picked up. It was whistling now. The treehouse started to spin. What's happening? Cried Jack. Get down! Shouted Annie. She pulled him back from the window. The treehouse was spinning faster and faster. Jack squeezed his eyes shut. He held on to Annie. Then everything was still, absolutely still. Jack opened his eyes. Sunlight slanted through the window. There was Annie, the books, his backpack. The treehouse was still high up in an oak tree, but it wasn't the same treehouse. I'm sorry, it wasn't the same oak tree. All right, boys and girls, that's chapter 2. So now you're going to go and complete your task card. Remember, if you're answering the questions, please go back and use text-based evidence to answer your questions. Remember to use parts of the question and also to answer in a complete sentence. Until we meet again, take care.